Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our monthly community conversation. My name is Johan. I'm the Vice Chairman of CAISA. Today's topic is insurrection. Our communities prepared, and we've got quite a well-represented group of guys that's going to chat to you today, and it's going to be moderated by Theo. Potgieter. Before I hand over to Theo, I'd just like to bring one or two things to your attention. First of all, the Community Association Institute of South Africa is a non-profit company, incorporated and registered in terms of the provision of the Companies Act of the Republic of South Africa. CAISA has voting members. CAISA is regulated by the provision of its Memorandum of Incorporation and the Companies Act. CAISA is the host of the Zoom webinar and welcomes all the participants. CAISA supports and promotes open debate as well as free discussion in relation to the topic of today's Zoom webinar. All views are the opinions expressed by any of the panel members and or participants are not that of CAISA, nor does CAISA endorse such views or opinions. All the material and publications used during today's Zoom webinar is protected by the intellectual property rights of CAISA and may not be used unless the written consent of CAISA obtained prior to using it. I also like just to mention that, as you know, CAISA offers professional development programs. The courses, the next course is the M100 in September at Peakenwood Golf and Country Club. There are still spaces available for those of you who've not done the course. You can reach out to us on the email address info@caisa.co.za. Please do so today so that we can make sure that we can enter you into that M100, the Essentials of Community Association Management. Then in October, we will commence again to start with the M200 courses. There's the M202, it's about communications, and the M203 about leadership. Again, use that same email address at the bottom, info@caisa. For those of you who've not done the course, reach out to us, please, and we can make sure that we enroll you into the courses. Then we're going to start, and I'm talking about CAISA. As you know, it's Good Neighbor Month or Neighbor Day at the end of September. So we will reach out to you shortly on a survey. We kindly request that you complete it. It's 5 or 7 questions. And then through our social media platforms, we will give you feedback on how to be a good neighbor and what does your neighbor say, and neighborhoods that we live in today. Then lastly, before I hand over to Theo Potgieter, the moderator, please follow us on Facebook, on LinkedIn. And this recording of this webinar will shortly be posted on our YouTube page, on our YouTube channel, together with the others that we posted to date. Please go and follow us, and if you've got any questions or any comments, please direct it to info@caisa.co.za. We're looking forward to today, and I'm going to hand you over to Theo Potgieter, our moderator for today. Thank you very much, everybody, and enjoy.
Oh, okay, I've now unmuted. Thanks, Johan. Morning to everybody. Thank you for joining us. And a very special thank you to Anthony Feuilherade from Excellerate Services, Waal from Bidvest Protea Coin, and Bartmann from Fidelity Security Services. I'm going to try and talk as little as possible and rather let the 3 gentlemen that have so kindly agreed to join us do most of the talking. The idea behind today is to try and get a first-hand impression of what it was like for these various security companies who are providers to a lot of our estates and our communities, what it was like during those 10 days, 2 weeks that we had those horrific riots and looting, primarily in KZN and in Gauteng. So with that, I'm going to kick off. Anthony, when did you guys, if you can give us an idea, when you first realized, hang on guys, there's something cooking here. This is not run-of-the-mill stuff. This is something that we need to pay attention to, some serious attention to. Perhaps a couple of the challenges that went into it, and what was it like on those first couple of days?
Well, thanks for the invite today. Thank you very much. Yeah, it was, I think we were all talking about it from Excellerate point of view. We were, wasn't much info out there. We work quite closely with the police as well in all regions, and it took us totally by surprise. We started on the Monday hearing one or two little things, but there was nothing really confirmed. And before we knew it, things had started to get out of hand. You know, we started mobilizing. We started talking to our staff about not being able to get to work, etc. And unfortunately, when the real looting and trouble started, most of the routes in and out of the areas where the security officers reside, as well as management, were closed. So we had that big challenge of really trying to get staff together and housing them, feeding them, etc. But yeah, it was, we were caught by surprise, as were all the police and army and whatever, and the mobilization of them specifically to KwaZulu-Natal was quite slow. So we had to put amongst the security companies between us. We had to do what we could, which wasn't enough to stop the looting.
Fantastic. Waal, Bartmann, ek sal moet onthou, there's two Waals on the session with us today. Oh, where's Waal? I'll say Waal.
Yes.
Waal, same question to you, but a couple of insight. When did you guys realize, well, you come in?
Well, I think there was definitely before there were some signs that it's going to happen. To the extent that it happened, of course, that everybody didn't anticipate that. Already on the Saturday, we were moving people down there, and we had problems moving them through by road because there were riots, etc., on the road going through at the Feuilherade area, etc. So definitely there were some signals, warning signals that were there, but to the extent, I think nobody was prepared to think that there could be that much, and it would carry on that long. And also, of course, the participation of the SAPS and their response to this. I think that also created a huge problem for everybody, because we know the delay. We also saw that through, and I think a lot of the major security companies responded much quicker and faster before any of the military or the SAPS could respond. So there were a lot of our major customers knew there was something, but to this extent, definitely. And I think when the road blockages and everything, it was well prepared. I think that they blocked it. And as the previous speaker said, that once it happened, it was quite difficult to move around and to get to certain areas, and especially in KZN. And then, you know, the rumors were there that it would spread to other areas, which we saw came through. But I think a lot of the resources and a lot of lessons learned through that first few days in KZN definitely assist us in the other areas.
Thank you, Waal. Waal?
Yeah, morning, and thanks for the invite. It's exactly the same. Remember the 8th and the 9th, they start burning the vehicles at Mooi River on the N3, where we thought it's an isolated incident. We also start sending the next morning reinforcement to our clients in Durban. But I think the change came on the 11th. I want to show you a clip on the 11th, and this is when we realized that there's a bit of coordination from their side between the two provinces, KZN and Gauteng. And that was where a hostel mobilized, and they, let me just get the clip quickly. I just want to show you. Can you see that?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so that was a clip that was put on the E2. And you can see it's chaos. This was through Hillbrow, when a hostel mobilized through Hillbrow. And that was when we realized that there's a bit of a thing going on. Like I said, coordination between Gauteng and KZN. And from there, they just went to Alex, they went to Sebokeng, Vosloorus, they went to, and the next morning it was chaos. And then Durban light up, and then it was chaos. And then the social media, and then we knew that was that this is bigger than just the isolated incident of the trucks. So that video clip was actually a clip that was put on a Telegram group on the E2. It's a project that we can discuss later on, where us, Fidelity, and about 250 security companies in Gauteng belongs to it, where we all realize that there's something happening. And at the end of the day, you need to split your forces, because you need to assist other clients in Durban, you need to assist in Gauteng, it weakened yourself, we need to send down choppers, armored vehicles, the roads blocked, the N3, you need to take an alternative road, you need to put scout vehicles in front. So it was a whole operation. And the social media in between, and then the job didn't work in KZN, but I think that will come out later in the conversation. But that, to answer your question, that's when we picked it up.
I think what all three of you sort of indicated is pretty much what we saw on television, and what was, and you touched on the thing that involved the social media, where we were inundated with all sorts of visuals. From my perspective, the one thing that I took out of it was where the authorities. But enough said as far as that point is concerned. I think the security companies, by and large, the response was phenomenal, and without the security, together with a couple of neighborhood watches and so on, yeah, I think that possibly it could have been worse than what it was. You actually touched on another thing, but I think before I get to that point, just to confirm, and in case there's any of the urban legend and rumor and so on going out there, I'm not aware of any estate, community, or anything of that nature that was directly impacted during this period. Yes, there was sort of secondary impact as far as staffing was concerned, and once the awareness started to make sure that the various communities were protected. But is anybody aware of any estate that may have been impacted during those 10 days? Well,
I just think in Northern Natal, at one of the estates, it came quite close, where I would say about 200 meters from the gates, they were singing and dancing. There were some shots fired, etc. But that's it, not really into the estates and affecting and damaging property, etc.
Okay, that pretty much confirms. Anybody else? Anthony, Wahl, the Wahl?
Yeah, I agree with Wahl. I mean, there was no other housing estates that we were aware of that were targeted. As Wahl said, there were people around certain estates toying and threats, but whoever was there just the security, I think, just chased them away. But there were no intruding guys going into estates.
Yes, I agree. I agree with the speakers that, and that wasn't their goal in any case.
Yeah.
But I also think that the situation and where they situated the estates and where the people was and the transport and everything wasn't Maybe it was in a different location. There were more people around it, and informal settlements, etc., and a lot of other housing. Maybe that could have been a target, but as I said, it came close to in northern Natal, but that's it. Nothing more than that.
Good to hear. Then we get to that other great tool when it works for us, and when it doesn't work for us, it's the bane of our lives. Social media, WhatsApps, these WhatsApp groups. Your experiences with regard to them, Wahl, whilst you on screen.
Yeah, I think what we did is we got our helicopters to fly every day and to verify, because on social media, all over the place, it was looting, there were old scenes, there were rumors spread. So it actually created a lot of chaos and a lot of anxiety with a lot of the customers, and not what we can expect. So definitely, I think the role that social media is playing is so that it can influence a huge area and create a perception exactly what's happening. So definitely there was so much going around, and even after the looting, a day or two after, there was a lot of things on social media again, which is old footage that's been played and things that happen. So definitely, I think it's important to verify and to make sure. And I think the lessons learned is that the communication between everybody, and how do we communicate, and how do we deal with information, and how do we, before we just post any information, can verify that it's correct and it's true.
Agreed. Anthony?
Thank you. As the previous speaker mentioned, social media can really cause more chaos than anything else. We had, even up until today, estates, commercial, industrial buildings, clients of ours hearing this noise, that noise, are saying, is everything all right? We're still handling stuff from social media today. But yeah, it can cause chaos. The jocks, unfortunately, the jock that was meant to have been set up in KwaZulu-Natal, there was COVID at that police station, and it just fell flat. But social media and controlling it and actually filtering out exactly what's correct and what's not, and as the previous speaker said, old footage just causes the authorities just to run for the wrong reasons to that area and whatever. So yeah, it's something that we all as security companies and communities really have to look into.
Wahl, the Wahl?
Yes, no, exactly the same. Theo, I've been 18 years in the military, and I've learned one thing. When you've got a war like that, and you've got different spots at different areas, like in one province, there's no way to manage it better than from a centralized place where you've got all your resources. And unfortunately, here the police needs to rely a lot on security. I mean, we've got vehicles, Fidelity, Anthony got vehicles all over. They need to rely on us. Where you've got all those eyes and ears on the ground, the public needs to link up with their local security. Then they've also in that channel, and all that security needs to report to one job. And there you analyze the situation. And like Wahl is saying, there you send either one of your resources joining you, a security helicopter or police helicopter, go and verify, come back, you see it's a real story, and there you plan in conjunction with security and go and deal with that threat. That didn't happen. It was social media on social media on social media, on chaos, on chaos, on chaos. So that's lessons learned. I think we were better prepared in Gauteng than in Durban. In Gauteng, as I said, there's a lot of security companies already joined the E2, so there we talk to each other, and all these bits and pieces got to a centralized place where we could analyze it and say, well, it's not true, it's not going to happen, but let's just go and verify without sending a whole force there where you weaken yourself. And we sent a helicopter there, or we call the local security on the ground there, he gives us feedback, and we've got the real story and we can analyze it. And I think that was missing in KZN. So we were a bit more organized in Gauteng than, according to me, than in KZN.
Centralized channels of communication and a reliable source of communication is becoming, not only in this scenario, but on our estates in general. a vital aspect. If we are, in my opinion, if we're communicating across 100 different platforms and you've got 10 different people doing it, you're never going to get your message across. And one of the other things that really played out on the social media and on the news, and of course, with it being the sort of really negative side of things, was the violence that was associated with it. And I thought it worthwhile that we perhaps just confirm with the security companies to take away any preconceptions or preconceived ideas about what our security personnel and the security companies are allowed to do and what they are not allowed to do. Because as we all know, in any sort of civilized society where we've got rule and order, we are bound by those rules. Yeah, if I can get some insights from you guys.
Well, yes, thank you. I think we all know that, and it's been a struggle. And my father, when he was still with the Security Officers Board, was punting to say that security officers need, and even certain levels, which should have more powers than currently. Currently, our powers of arrest, everything is exactly the same as a private person. There's not much more that we can do. So definitely, I think that's something that needs to be looked at. And yes, I think because of the police, etc., I think we've stepped up a level or two to start taking those positions. I think if you look at the riot control, the teams, the illegal mining, the security, everything, if you look at the growth of the industry, that's massive. And unfortunately, I think we're very limited what we can do. So the training is important. It's important to make sure that when you act and respond, that you act within those limits that are there. I think it's section 49, etc. So definitely it's something that we as the industry is trying to achieve, and to get more powers so that we can act more in that capacity and assist the police with a lot of their functions that they currently can't do or don't have the capacity to do.
Point taken, Wahl. Anthony, I'm not sure if you've got anything to add.
Not much more than the previous speaker, except you know, a lot of the clients, a lot of our clients, I'm not talking about the other two speakers' clients, but I'm sure that they all think the same, that we are a second police force. And if there's a problem outside the gate, get it sorted out. Otherwise, we'll get someone else to. You know, you can't take the law into their own hands. We all know the legalities and illegal stuff that goes on. And it's hard for security companies to really say tell the client. The client expects far more. So we have to just, from a legal point of view, just be very careful there.
Yeah.
Well, I think the other one is also, of course, protecting life. I think you've got that we all know that, and that you can use the powers, etc., that you've got, and also the protection of property. It is more limited, so you can't just use all the powers that you've got there. But definitely, those two rights are still there, and in court, I think that would be upheld should the security company respond to that. And I think also we've seen that you know, there was not the military and everybody that was deployed, they didn't have the right equipment, no rubber bullets, etc. You know, it's live ammunition that they wanted to use that you really can't use in this situation. So definitely, I think where there were separate units dealing with the riots, etc., that's all disappeared, and that expertise has disappeared in the forces, and that's moved more to the private security companies in the industry.
Yeah, I agree with both speakers. We, in fact, my view is we need to look at the law going forward. If you look at the law now, you've seen the video clip now. If that video clip, those people storm estate, any estate, estate X now, you only rely on your guards currently there, which are doing patrolling access control. If their lives aren't in danger, they can't use live ammo. So those people if their intention is to go in, they will break down whatever wall you've got, whatever fence you've got, whatever gate you've got. Those security will probably run away. They will walk in the streets. You can mobilize. You're still not allowed to shoot because nobody's life's in danger. They might argue that they want to march through the estate out at the other gate. So the only time that you can shoot and protect is when your life's in danger. That means when it comes into your property, you still can't shoot. And when it petrol bombs throw a petrol bomb to your house, or he enters your house, then it's a different story. So that means they can basically get those mashed together and they can just march in an estate and march out at the estate. So that is basically what the law is saying today. And you can't take lives protecting assets. And I think going forward, that's a thing we really need to look at.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's very important. I think also that your public liability policies and those things are very important, which company you're dealing with. But the minimum force that you use, I've got a bit of a different view from Waal. I believe that if you use rubber, if you use water cannons, if you use minimum force, definitely you can. But just firing off rounds would be a problem. So definitely, and I think we've seen that happening, and I think everybody is getting up to that situation where you can use minimum force in the form of not sharp point ammunition, etc., and other methods to protect and secure your assets.
Do any of the company do you use non-lethals at all? Is it something that has become more prevalent amongst the security staff?
Definitely, we do.
Well,
Yes, as well. We also go through the minimum. But if you take the normal estate out there, they haven't got that resources that they can call a radio or make a phone call, and within 5 minutes the gate are gone. Yeah. So you need to rely on your own security there. So you're going to see a trend now. You're going to see the big estates that can afford it, that's financially strong, that will start planning and start training their own security, if it's my people or Waal's people, into riots, into minimum force, just to delay for us to get there. But you've got these poor estates, they hardly could pay their security bill, and they're also at risk. And most of them are there in the bundus. So that puts them at risk. So I see there was a question. Have we got any information that they plan to go to estates? No, I just hope we don't get to that ever in this country. But up to now, I doubt it. The other two can help me here. But we liaise with the police every day. There's no incidents like that. There might be estates that's got golf courses, schools where there's access for public people, and there might be racial tension where political parties will act. We had 2 months ago Cornwall Hill, where the school had a racial thing there, and the TV were there, and there were rumors of political party dropping people and buses there, and that might creep in, and you've got Mr. X staying in the estate, and then they want to go to Mr. X's house, and they're going to start going to the estate's entrance and start blocking the road and start ripping it apart. So yes, there will be isolated incidents like that, but I doubt it if there's information by there's a holistic plan to enter estates now and take over. I doubt that.
Anthony?
I think everything's been covered by both previous speakers. Yeah, so there's not much more to me to do.
No, I'm just looking at the question on the other side. No particular information with regard to estates that might become targets?
Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing from our side, yeah. But we are monitoring it. We are monitoring it. There was rumor, and it's only rumor, that just before the looting started, I'm talking 3 or 4 days before it started, in KwaZulu-Natal, there was some domestic staff that were talking about that certain things that they've heard, but that's just stuff that never was confirmed.
How reliant are we on on the existing lawful structures, for lack of a better way of putting it. As far as Intel is concerned, I think most of the larger, more reputable security companies do a fair amount of analysis of the situation, sort of daily situation on unrest and crime tendencies and so on. But real live hardcore intel relating to these types of incidents, are we totally reliant on what government is telling us, what the police or national intelligence or whoever it might be? Or is that something that the security companies also try and get on top of? Which I would imagine would be a way more difficult thing than reading through, you know, the previous day's crime statistics and the news reports and so on.
Well, we have to. I think that we've seen on the information on the looting, there's a lot of rumors, there's a lot of speculation that everybody knew it was there, but still it's not so. Unfortunately, that part of the police and the information services has actually disappeared. I think we've seen that in a lot of it, not only in this industry, but also in the cash and transit industry. The information, all of those things have disappeared. And yeah, it's actually sad. I think that it's very, very limited. In certain areas, it's great. You've got a lot of support from certain areas where it still functions well. But in a lot of other areas, there's no information flowing through to the different companies. So I think all the companies have decided to take it upon them own to start running with this and to get those resources and information through their network.
Well, you guys do the same sort of thing?
Yes, we do exactly the same. I think we all know that there's challenges in the environment within the law enforcement that puts pressure on business, because if you need to go and gather your own int, it costs you money. But unfortunately, like Wahl says, we need to do it. Otherwise, we're gonna lose the battle. We also liaise with each other, the security companies. We opposition to each other, but we're good mates. We respect each other, and we're big enough to know that somewhere you need to take your green or blue hat off and put your South African hat on, and we liaise with each other on that level. We've got great relationship with the police, although they've got challenges. We liaise with them as well. So amongst us, we used to get together and sort out what we can sort out with what we've got. Yes, but the official structures aren't there, how it's supposed to work. I think there's going to be a lot of changes after this episode, where everybody's going, not just on the law enforcement, also private security, also estate client base, where everybody's going to go back to the drawing board and see how we can protect these business better. And after all, plays a huge role. And I mean, if they would have warned us 2 weeks prior to this that this is coming, we would have been better organized, everybody.
Anthony, I know you guys distribute weekly and daily, if you ask for it, information to your clients. It probably takes us on to the next sort of logical step. Estate management and estates in general, what are the sort of things that we can do from our side to well, assist the security companies, our service providers, and how do we prepare? And it touches on a question here from Kita. She's asking whether there's an outline document available to be shared with the estates, and we'll get into a little bit of that detail perhaps a bit later. But if you could just kick us off, Anthony, what should we be doing from an estate management perspective to prepare, if at all, if there's anything that we are not doing? I know a lot of estates do a lot of work in planning and trying to prepare for various scenarios. Yeah, Anthony?
You know, it's the stage. We busy as Excellerate. We busy with all our states putting, and we've completed most of the action plans, which is done between the state management and ourselves. It's a big subject in the security industry today. The word tactical has got even bigger. Everyone just wants tactical. Everyone just wants, what are you going to do if it happens again? So the action plans going forward, signed off with the clients, etc., is giving them some peace of mind. But continuous communication. You know, one of the in our last meeting last week, it was mentioned by Wahl that it was communication was lacking. Yes, communication in anything you do in life. If there's no communication, it fails. So the communication side we've picked up now with clients. And it's forever keeping them on board and keeping them fay with the goings on. Whether there's no threat or a threat, we are continuously communicating.
I muted myself there. Sorry, Wahl. From your side, anything addition to the comms, to the comments that Anthony made?
Yes, definitely. I think we've all seen a total different view. I think we all know that some fences won't last the test. So I think we look at a bit of different angle to a threat and a risk currently, because we've seen what has happened at a lot of the multinationals in the commercial area, how they penetrated that. So definitely there will be recommendations on what to do, how to stop them, how to delay them to get into your property. I think that would be. So there's a lot of lessons learned. We got together, we looked at those, and we will try and better that. And I think what Wahl also said is that you're going to have to look at your current staff complement to get them up to speed so that they could be your first barrier to prevent and stop that. And in our business also, we've gone through the localization process now, where we moved the ADT business into local space, which is there. And I think that's where everybody needs to start tying up with the local security companies to work with them and to get that first line of defense until you can secure your property and then take it further.
Thanks, Wahl. Other Wahl?
Yes, first of all, I think you need to analyze your own situation. You know, every estate is different. You look at the location, geographical area, the environment outside the estate, the residents, your financial status, the security you've got. So everything is different. So every estate needs to go and sit down and analyze their own threat and make sure that they're in place. What I can tell them is that if they've got, like Wahl says, if they've got a local security and they're happy with them, that's fine. But make sure that you've got a link to another security that's got those reinforcement, that's got decent riot control people, that's been trained, accredited, the vehicles. You know, that's one thing that I've seen in Durban when I flew there and operated there, is that I've bumped into a lot of old mates. They're already 60, 65, but they're standing there with a weapon. And I said, guys, are you Sira? They say, Sira's. What they are with Sira, this is war. And yeah, it's good and well, you can get away with it, and they've probably got away. But if there's issues like now, like the Phoenix, then afterwards, the police are going to come for you. So you'll get away with those people using them, and you cut probably cost, and you feel more safer with a guy that's been in the military, that worked at another place, or in the ex-police guy. But it's a problem going forward, because he's not legal. He's not legal. So make sure that you link up with a legal company that can assist, because all these security companies hasn't got riots, they haven't got choppers, they haven't got water cannons, only the big ones got. Link up with them, and then make sure the security company you've got has got access to that province's E2. Make sure, because that's the direct link to the operational command center, the highest in the, not your station, not your cluster, not your district. That's the where the OCC, the Operational Command Center of the police, are sitting, where there's a security representative. So join the E2 and make sure that your security's got a direct link, because once you're on that network, there's where we all agree that whoever's in the area will come and assist for free on no liability, nothing, their expenses. They will come and assist you. And obviously the police will task their local branch from the highest level within the province. That is a must. So those 2 points, I think it's a must going forward. Besides the fact that you need to, after analyzing, train your own security the way to delay it on your premises.
Thanks, guys. Well, perhaps it's an ideal opportunity now, and I'm taking a look at the time. We really, I think we can spend 3 days talking about the various stuff that was happening there. You've touched on the E2, which seems to tick a lot of the boxes that we are talking about from a communications point of view, a response point of view, eyes on the ground, and so on. Could you give us an overview of what this project is, and more importantly, how do we get involved if we can? I'm not sure if it's only set up for security companies, or is it something that estates can join in their own sort of personal capacity as such?
Thanks, for that opportunity. The E2 is a project. It's a memorandum of understanding being signed between Business Against Crime South Africa, the project leaders Protea Burger, and the South African Police, the National Commissioner Sitole. So let me quickly go through the rules. The National Commissioner said, we did a proposal with the National Commissioner and say, Commissioner, you need the eyes and the ears of the local security to assist you, which he agreed upon. And then we had a work session, and the 4 big companies, that myself, Wahl, Bartmann, G4S and SPV, we sat with a hat of cash and transit, where we say, how are we going to take this forward? So after that, we got to a conclusion, and we've got a document signed by both parties. It's currently for all security companies. The minister says all security, well, the National Commissioner, any security company. If you've got 1 member registered and you're with CIRA registered, you can participate. All security companies, all number plate recognition, and all tracking companies. So you apply, you get vetted by the police and by Business Against Crime, and you get a tick off, and you can go ahead. Then you can buy radios. We're using a specific radio on the cell phone network, the PTT network, and you can go on a Telegram group. At every province, we've got the security representative 24/7. So in Gauteng, for instance, we've got somebody there by Brixton with the police. So the flying squad representative, the crime intelligence, the Vispol, they're all sitting there. So if I take my radio now and I say help, they can exactly see my location. The radio updates every minute, and they can assist. So we all sign an SOP. After you get accredited, you sign an SOP, and the SOP says you've got no extra authority. You're still a security company. You help each other out of your free will, your own liability, you can't go and claim something afterwards from the company. You do it out of your free will. And I must tell you, it works. It works. And that's why we were better in Gauteng than in KZN, because we're currently rolling out the other provinces now. Gauteng has been rolled out. Cape Town has been rolled out. They're busy now with Durban, KZN to roll it out, and all the other provinces. We would love to roll it out before the end of December. So that gives the security then the opportunity to talk directly to the highest command center. And that also, by doing that, that's where you can get rid of all these false media reports. As you know, there was a 23rd, there was another incident where we sent each other, and the guys start getting bully beef and run through the trenches. Because there was supposed to be another, that time they were supposed to take the country over, and nothing happened at 23rd. And that was just social media, but we were prepared for that. We, for instance, with Wahl, Bartmann, our chopper, G4S, Fidelity, we all, another 3 other companies, SSG, Africa, we were all sitting on a secret field there in Joburg with all our choppers and a police chopper ready for action, and then nothing happened. So we were a bit more organized than the previous time, but that's basically the E2. So that's why I said any security company, join. And also there's two-way communication. So if there's a house robbery now and they get in that BMW in whatever suburb and it gets to the police 10111, they tell the security representative, look out for that vehicle. And then they splash that footprint and say, all security stations, we're looking out, please look out for BMW, this and this happened, dangerous, please, when spotted, let the police know. And this is how we coordinate. Even the choppers, the people doesn't know it, but we also coordinate, like I'm talking here, we coordinate the choppers. Waal Bartmann's chopper will fly in one area now, and our choppers will fly in another area. G4S will fly in another area, Africa will fly in another area. So we've got one app where we all talk to each other. Remember I said we're friends. We've got the South African hat, although we're here for business, but we talk to each other. I mean, a long time ago, I showed Wahl how to scrum and he became an excellent Springbok. So we assist each other in business. But that's basically in short, the E2.
Baie dankie. Waal, Bartmann, I'm sure that you've been exposed to this E2 project as well. Do you have any additional comments on it?
Yeah, I think it's just important to make sure, and I think we, as an industry, also trying to make sure that everybody that's part of the E2 are compliant. There's still a lot of operators in the industry that are not contributing, not paying the minimum wages, etc. They don't have everything in place, and we all know that the new bargaining council has been formed. So I think everybody needs to just check that their company is registered with the bargaining council. We try and get the compliance. We're also, between the companies, also trying to make sure that we vet our staff properly. And if they move between companies, make sure that, you know, that if a person leaves for the wrong reasons, we will speak to companies and say to them. So we all belong to different organizations, SANSIA and SASA, where we deal with these. And as organizations, it's important that your security company is also part of that, because there's a lot of legislation, there's a lot of changes in the industry. The Firearms Act, the possession of firearms, all of that are driven. We know what the new legislation is, we know what they want to do, what type of firearms would be available, what would not be available. Definitely, and those are the fights that we're fighting, and we're fighting that fight on behalf of the industry, as well as to the communities and the people that we protect in the industry.
Fantastic. I see one comment here, E2, great initiative. I agree with that. Anthony, from your side, have you been exposed to the E2 yet? It sounds like it's only getting off the ground there at the moment, though.
Yeah, it is. And thanks to Wahl, I've been chatting to him about it. It was going to be the jock, as I said earlier, launched at one of our local police stations and whatever, but I'm involved with it now, and yeah, it's a very good initiative. I mean, if we had that, and if it was organized at that stage in the greater Durban area, it would have been a great help to us. And as both of the previous speakers mentioned, I mean, you know, we're all in business to make a living, but we are positioned, but the working together isn't good enough. We need to get closer to me, in my view, because we all seem to be, not all of us, but some of the companies worry about their own places. So I think this E2 is going to play a major part in KwaZulu-Natal and the Western Cape, as it is doing in Gauteng.
Gentlemen, thank you. I think we've got a lot of information. We're going on an hour now, 55 minutes now. Any last comments from anybody relating to the subject that we've been discussing for the last hour? Who wants to go first?
Theo, if I can go first. Just one thing I want to, well, two things. The one thing I want to mention, we must remember there's a new act, the POPI Act, which is also a challenge for us when it comes to sharing of information. It's hampering us. So we'll see how we deal with that going forward. And then also the states, they need to look at technology. There's the drone is the latest technology, LPR, those things. They really need to look at. There's a lot of security companies already got license flying the drone, and it's an an excellent tool. You don't get a better eye in the sky than a FLIR hanging there and see what's happening around your environment. There's nothing else better than that. So that's basically from my side.
Well, Bartmann, anything to add to that? Any suggestions?
Thank you very much for the invite today. Definitely, I think one thing that we must realize is that the risks are always there, and it might happen again. We still, there's a lot of uncertainty. I think the other day they had a webinar about military, how prepared is our military forces, etc. So definitely, we've seen what's happened in Mozambique and some of the areas. Definitely, we need to be prepared, and I think that's the lessons learned through the industry and our businesses, that there's a lot of things that will change in our business to make sure that we're better prepared and we can take this forward. The initiatives, and I think the companies, I think a lot of the bigger companies are already working together quite well, sharing information, etc. And I think we also need the estates. They've got people there, they've got information, and we need to channel that information into one strategic point where we can deal with that and react to that and be proactive.
Anthony, from your side, anything to add?
Yeah, and once again, thanks for the invite. I agree with both the previous speakers. You know, we just need to get, I think, closer and become more intelligence driven. The whole thing, the whole disaster about this looting was there was no intelligence coming through. So we as a company are really, through our investigation division, are really getting intelligence more on the street, and hopefully we'll know sooner than later, and maybe before even the police force know about the next situation if it arises. But thank you very much.
Thank you guys once again for your time, and to the people that joined us today, thank you very much. We'll try and get some detail and circulate it to everybody with regard to the E2 project. Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway from today's session for me is, and I do agree with all three speakers, intel, communications, a clear line of communication that you can trust, that you can get to your residents. We didn't really sort of touch on that, but having spent a number of years in the industry, I'm fairly certain that all of us were inundated with WhatsApps and telephone calls and SMSs and you name it from our residents about what's happening, where, how, and it just becomes an impossible situation trying to manage if you're on the ground. We'll go through the list of questions, and we'll circulate one page or whatever with a bit of information on. Yeah, thank you. And if there's any additional, yes.
Theo? Sorry,
yes,
on behalf of CAISA, I'll just, if you don't mind. So I'd just like to confirm that this recording will be available on our YouTube channel for everybody to look at or even to circulate. And on behalf of CAISA, thank you very much to you and to the panel, to Anthony and Waal. I must say it's quite a mean panel that we had here today on a very, very relevant topic. Thanks for your time, guys. We really, really appreciate it. And to those people who participated, we will do this various topics the first Tuesday of every month. Look out for it, you know, on our social media. Don't forget about those courses that I mentioned earlier on. Reach out to us. There's follow us on Facebook, follow us on YouTube, follow us on LinkedIn. And in closure, again, thank you to everybody who made today possible, and the security companies to put time and effort into today. Thank you and good luck for a massive task that you guys have to keep us safe in South Africa. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Wahl. Thanks, Wahl. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks very much. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Anthony.
Bye.
Thanks.
Awesome. Awesome.